You and I talked earlier, there's a lot we see that just you shake your head and you go, "What are they trying to do there?" Maybe it's to save a buck. I see, whether it's I'm recording my own videos with a homemade thing that kind of feels homemade, and it's on a you're gonna be, um, you wanna go after Fortune 500 companies, and, I can see you shooting the video you're posting with your cat walking across the room in the background and fill in the blank on what it is that's the tell that they're not, you're
Mhm.
not putting your best foot forward. What do you is there any basics or that you could give people to go, here's what I would invest in, or make sure you're at least doing this. I don't think you need $5,000 worth of equipment if you want to start doing your own
No.
videos. I mean, the iPhones are all
It
pretty
just
damn good right now.
Yeah, for sure, you can absolutely use the iPhone. It totally depends on the channel you're on and the shelf life of the content. If this is gonna be something that every single customer that interacts with you is gonna watch, then you need higher production value. If it's something that's gonna live on LinkedIn for a week, I wouldn't worry too much about the production value. At the end of the day, if you're really trying to build a personal brand or a personal connection with your audience, it's okay to have your cat walking in the background at the end of the day. On the shelf life that's 3 days, 1 week. Doesn't matter, right? And in
Right.
fact, it can even help. It shows authenticity. Now, if that's the main video on your website and it's just you shaking around like that, not great. I think ultimately it's a
I'm
question
thinking
of
of
your met.
one person individual right now, a person in particular, which is not their best look. Let me just leave it at that.
Well, at
But
at the end of the
I let you great point, shelf life of content.
yeah,
Tons
shelf
of
life of
us
content
put something
matters.
out that's just up for the week. But you're right. If this is a signature clip on your website or your LinkedIn profile, and you want it to, I do. I find myself thinking about not mentioning years. I think about is this content something that is going to make sense 5 years from now? Right?
Yeah,
Or are we talking about it something in an election year, in which case it kind of dates what it is you're saying, right?
right.
And
Well,
you
I
just have
think
to know that.
also you have to think about, the production value versus the message. If you have something that's really great in terms of the message, expert insight, wonderful story, great analogy, really applicable technical and practical tips that you're giving, people could care less about the production value
Yeah, man.
because you're so
I've been
engaging with
distracted.
what you're
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
and
I
so
think we
so
yeah,
powerful with your message, man, production value could go out the door. I could care less, but I'm engaged because you're saying something that matters, right?
I couldn't agree more. I've been turned off by too many bells and whistles in some clips I've seen where I'm trying to read it and it's changing color and there's a flashing thing here and there's hard fast cutaways every 4 seconds, and I'm really just I'm trying to tune in on them, and yet I hear somebody who's a thought leader, and
Yeah.
that camera angle doesn't have to change for 20 minutes. I'm riveted
Well,
with
that
what they're
Chris, that's
saying.
what we do if you think about it. Like, our production value is fine, but it's not, like, over the top. We're not getting into a studio and
Yeah,
recording with
right.
multiple camera angles and all this kinda stuff, and part of the reason for that is that's not our competition. That's not the industry standard. If somebody came out and started doing Experience Builders 2.0 with in studio and crazy motion graphics and sound effects and all this kinda stuff, we may have to up our production value because that's where our competition's at. That's what our target audience is going to engage with that more because they also have the expert insights and the incredible stories and analogies and great thought leaders on the show, and
Yeah,
they're doing the production over the top. So that's where the target audience would go. But no one in our target audience is doing that. And really, no
right.
one's doing it with the message that we have. And so that's why we're focused on not the production value and more on the content, right? More on the
Yeah.
message. And
No,
so
and
it all
yeah, I agree. Well, again, I don't mean to focus just on podcasting, but you and I spent a great deal of time, not just on topics, but really weeks before seeking out the right subject matter expert to have the
right.
conversation with. And and when we hit it, it's gold. And, if you don't hit it, I'm not saying there's not usable information there, but but then there's sometimes I think it's going to be about content. And I think right now I'm thinking about Julie Kagi from ESCA who was on,
Yeah.
right? Shout out to Julie if you're listening. You better be listening, Julie. I'm just telling you. But we were really, she had given us an idea about a rebuttal to the grow with no. She's like, well, I was trained to never say no. So you should do a follow up about that. And it led into this great conversation about the service mentality. And I remember, how passionate she's like, listen, service is free and everybody can improve their service and the experience and showing empathy and being a good
Yeah.
listener and all. And it was just a wonderful, I thought it was a really positive surprise what came out beyond what I thought we would get out of it. And we've had other guests like that as well. So,
Yeah.
isn't that what we're really after for anybody here? If you're putting yourself out in front of your clients or prospects, you want to be the positive surprise that's more than what they are showing up thinking they're going to buy. I like what you said. They don't go to my website they're going to, they already have something in mind about buying and they have a project in mind. They might be going to check me out looking for any sign of trust and credibility. And I think we have some evidence up there about my company in that regard. And so by the time they do connect with us directly, boom, we're right into talking about an opportunity, a project they need help with, which is
Yeah.
a lovely way to, start conversations in second gear, right? That's great.
Well, and that's the whole that's a I mean, we'll just touch on this briefly, but it's a concept called dark social. So you can, and this really started with Google Ads primarily, of having this wonderful analytics platform where you could see exactly how much you pay per click and how many people clicked on it, how many people saw it with impressions, and it gave you the very detailed analytics that people loved. And then people try to do that with every single channel where they want to know exactly how many likes are on a post and how many likes equals a booked meeting for a lead, and then they want to see from their website how much traffic each equals a new opportunity and all these different things. But at the end of the day, it's not so robotic. I don't make every purchase decision just from one Google search, clicking on it and then finding my product. It
Yeah.
I may see an ad or even just an organic video on YouTube or on Instagram or wherever I spend time, and they're like, "Oh, that's really cool." And then 2 weeks later, I come back and I see another one, or I go and I look at their account and I find other videos that they have. And then they're in the back of my mind. And then suddenly a need arises and I think, "Oh, here's this," or even better, someone else has a need that arises and I say, "Oh, hey, I've seen all these videos. You should check this people out. I think they'd be a great solution for you." And so then that person does a Google search and they go to your website and book the meeting or whatever it is. And the reality is it wasn't that that person had the intuition to just search your company name by name on Google. It's that you put out all this content that educated and engaged somebody on dark social where there's no analytics, very little measurement that actually is meaningful for giving you buyer input, that then gave a referral to you and they never even worked with you. They just engaged, they were a follower of your content. So that's kind of the value that happens out there, and I guarantee you everyone who's listening to this has had that experience themselves, where they were in the dark social funnel.